Hi everyone and welcome to the Top Drives show, episode 7 already, which is absolutely crazy. We are back as always and we've got your questions from last time. You should know the rules by now. If you have a question that you'd like to have answered, then go ahead, leave it in the comments. If you see a question that you want that someone else has posted, give it a like. We look at the most liked comments first. Let's go straight into it. We've got some great questions and we've got a cool new prize card to talk about as well. So let's go. Opening up with some questions. Well done, Anthony Fitzgerald, who was our top voted comment. You get yourself a carbon fiber pack with a question that we've seen bubbling around at the bottom end of the comment section for a little while, but finally it's made it up to the top. Please give us a way to play our own cards against each other, kind of like a playground mode, to see what's best on every track and in what conditions. They also say, amazing game, keep up the good work, so thanks for the encouragement. But yes, some kind of sandbox.
Yeah, so that has come up from the beginning, probably, but from time to time.
It has. I mean, going right back to the very beginning of the game, when there wasn't really a game there. One of the first things that got built was what we call the resolver, the kind of physics engine behind this. And when we brought in the Evo road test team, what was meant to be a sort of a fairly kind of quick meeting just turned into this. They basically just sat down with it in kind of sandbox mode, just doing car versus car, all the different combinations they could think about. And we have sort of access to some of that, when we're building the game, and it's just good fun. And I know, we have, we know in some other kind of racing games out there have a kind of test suite, a kind of like testing facility. So we definitely see the appeal of it.
I think people could spend a lot of time doing that, because it's fun in that way. But if we were going to build a feature that people spend time in the game with, probably it should be something rewarding and with gameplay, and where you get something for it rather than just doing these things.
Yes, yeah. In some ways, we don't. We sort of built the kind of game structures and the event systems and things like that, and that is where we want people to be spending most of their time.
Yeah. I'd also go back to the thing I always bring up in these ones. It's like, who would benefit, right? Because what does this feature really do? Because currently, I know that players who are really serious about it and have paid attention know which tracks are where in the campaign. And if they want to test their cars and find out what's good, they go there to do it. And so maybe that gives them a slight advantage. But also, of course, if you're of a mind to really test it, if it comes up in an event, even tracks that aren't in the campaign, you can use the event itself to test the cars. And the way scoring works, actually, even if you try out a car and find out it's not the best, it's probably not going to damage your final position. Probably in the final day you'll be able to use that knowledge and rank up. So in terms of who benefits, it's like currently the people who know this thing have a slight advantage, and then if we add this in, all right, now everybody can do it, and the only people who can really get an advantage are the people who have a notepad and pen and spend an hour doing it. I don't know. I feel like it's quite good who has the advantage now. Anybody else could do what they're doing. And what the other thing is, because it's so deterministic, like you put this car with this upgrade on this track, you know what it's going to do. I think as soon as we added a feature like that we would very quickly find players have made a wiki of like all of the tunes and all the tracks, and then you wouldn't need the test scene anymore. You just look at that. And then suddenly it will become this game which is not about figuring out the best tune. It will be a game about go to the wiki, look at the thing, do the thing.
It does, yeah.
That whole bit of discovering it would actually end up going away if we made it that easy. So I'm not sure that actually, even though it is something you'd want to do, and we do have it ourselves and go, it's quite interesting, and we obviously use it to demo prize cars, I don't think it's actually necessarily a good thing for the game.
No, in some ways it almost feels like it would. If we were to ever look at it, it would almost need another system, which was kind of almost an overhaul of the upgrade system, where we actually kind of introduced a little bit more uncertainty in that, so you could almost kind of make cars better or worse. Yeah. And then it's kind of that you're introducing that
Right,
sort
true.
of
Like
unknown
other
element.
games have, different tuning systems where you actually adjust the car for a specific race, and you have a test scene to see how you're going to do that.
Yeah. So, but that's so no. I wouldn't. I definitely see the appeal. It's not something we're planning at the moment, but it's. I think it will. It's one of the areas that will at least continue to be discussed when we're thinking about maybe kind of longer term features. So.
Yeah, to go back onto something you said earlier, we got a response to that comment from It's David Games for the Win that says, that's just daily challenge.
What sort of? I mean, yeah, they come up all the time. They're on a rotation, so you can find out how to do best in those at least, yeah.
We got the same kind of question again, also from, I think it's Larger Stella. So the both of you, Anthony Fitzgerald and Larger Stella, you both get yourself a pack. Well done.
I really don't envy you in having to read out all the usernames. You do a very good job.
It's tough. Now on to some more questions. We've got one here from K28 Games, who is asking, is it possible to play the challenge after finishing it but without any rewards, just to clear the boards? So after finishing it, we'd be able to replay the 25th round every time we get a ticket. So what, like sort of a re-entry tournament kind of thing?
Well, the way it works at the moment is if you complete the challenge, then it's over and you can't do it anymore. Whereas if you very carefully don't quite beat it and just get 2 stars instead of 3, then you can keep doing that with all your remaining tickets and get a few more cards, and then make sure that you finish it just before the end. And then you get it. So it's like, in a way, it is possible to do what you want to do, except it emergently becomes this weird sort of game where you have to try and get 2 stars without accidentally winning.
Yes, and then remembering to finish before it finishes.
So it wasn't quite what we had in mind when we made it, but it does kind of work.
Yeah, I know. I saw a conversation the other day about there may be ways that we actually look at sort of offering rewards up for kind of when you finish, when you end the challenge,
to
kind of what's remaining in that.
Yeah, whatever was left is like, and then you get that, what you could have got to avoid that situation. Because it is, it does create a bit of a situation where you beating the challenge by accident, that should be a moment of victory, but you can feel like, oh no, I screwed it up.
Yeah.
And then, or that, like, you go on farming it and then you miss the end because you were too busy doing that thing, especially when there's Austin on the line and it's like the only way to get it.
Yeah, that'd be a bit gutting to have done all that hard work and then miss out the very end.
So don't do that.
No, so it does feel. I mean, it feels like it's one of those things where if somebody's wanting if somebody's sort of done the challenge and is just wanting more gameplay, I feel like it's more a case of kind of it's up to us to figure out ways to get more modes in and more ways to play really, rather than sort of these slightly kind of emergent farming.
Because it's a hard one to prioritise on the list because it's sort of technically there's a thing that works there. It's even slightly interesting to have this challenge to get 2 stars. Yeah. So it's hard for us to go, we've got to fix that right now when it kind of sort of works in a weird way already. Yeah, we're aware of it, but I don't know.
Probably just let people do that for a bit and then see what we come up with.
Cool. The next comment that we've got highlighted here as a Hutch pick comes from the R34 Porg, which is a beautiful username, and it says, merch idea, a t-shirt that says I have better mid-range acceleration. So well done to you. You get a carbon fibre pack for being funny.
I think so. Yeah, it's completely valid.
It's viable if we do merch. Yeah. I mean, you tap that race info button at the end of the race to find out why a car won, and it tells you. And it's true that it probably does say mid-range acceleration a bit more often than it should. It's very hard to get it right to say exactly why one car won, but mid-range acceleration is a thing. Yeah, watch out for it.
I've started actually writing MRA as a as a thing that actually starts getting shared around like amongst the team. It's actually even got its own acronym. So
exactly.
It's that big.
We wouldn't put that on a t-shirt though. That's somebody else.
And related to that, we've got a question from Nakamishi All YOLO, who asks, we want the Camaro, is it Camaro? I never say it right.
I say Camaro, but
because we're foolish English people.
British
people.
That might be wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, it says Camaro convertibles get fixed mid-range.
Right.
So is there an issue with the mid-range acceleration of some of these?
There's one
Chevys?
infamous one that is like surprisingly good 0 to 60. You go, oh yeah, this is looking good, and then the mid-range is just terrible, and that one in particular like disappoints people. But it's medium ride height, so you take it in the city, and then getting to a high speed doesn't even matter. That's where you use it. But more generally, if something is slightly wrong in the game, maybe it needs to be corrected. And the way to raise that is to find, firstly, you should try and do a racing game and find out how quickly does this car, I don't know, do a mile, or like if you look real carefully, you can see how quickly does it get to 100 miles an hour or something, and then try and look up the real life performance for it. And those are the grounds on which we would change it.
Yes.
I mean, I would assume it's slow at mid-range because when we put the data in, we're like, well, that's what it does.
Yeah, I mean, we I think we've sort of said before, but there is a never-ending process that goes on as part of the team's development efforts, which is to improve the accuracy of top drives, look at things that are being flagged up by the community, do our own research, look at their research, and change things where necessary.
Yeah.
And this is, I think after this, we'll definitely make sure that one surfaces to the top of the list and gets looked at. It's, again, I think we talked about this maybe in the last one a little bit, but the world of performance stats is subject to a fairly high degree of variety. Even for the identical car, it could have been that it's possible that was a car that Evo tested or has data from that was just it could have had an off day, or it could have been there could have been kind of weather factors or things like that had kind of come into play, even the environment that it was tested in. But we'll definitely look at that one and see if we can maybe needs a little boost.
Yeah, cool.
Our next questions both come from the user Haas, who has cheated and gone against my advice and has put 2 questions in one, but we'll let them get away with it this time. Their questions are, number 1, do we play top drives ourselves? If we do, what are our best or favourite cars? 2, if we did decide to make merch for top drives or Hutch, is there the possibility that there could be some codes in those products for top drives, for instance, so that if you buy something you might get a free ceramic pack?
Oh, right, wow.
Okay. People trying to find ways to get free things, which is understandable.
Yeah. We'll take the last one first, I suppose. There's a thing there, I know about this, that the app stores don't like things that circumvent their purchasing process. So if you do something that you can get something in game, but you don't have to spend any money on the app store, then they miss out on their 30%. So generally things like that are quite hard to get in.
What we could do is we could have it with a passphrase that you need to send to HelpShift, and then they give you the pack manually.
Just don't say that in public.
Yeah.
Because oh no.
Oh no.
Can't do that now.
Quick, edit this out.
We would never do that.
No, we can't do that.
Okay,
but
good.
a nice idea.
Yeah. Right, what were the other questions? Do we play it? Yes.
Do we play it, and what's our best or favourite cars?
So, I mean, we had Manu on, what was it, episode 2 or 3? Yeah, he was doing it. There's a few of us that play it. I play it every day. I'm just sticking out my hand now. I mean, I saved up a lot for the American Dream. I got 4 carbon fibres, and I won 1 in the Buick prize car event, and got a Challenger SRT Hellcat out of that, and so that's very good.
I just love that colour.
Yeah,
it's
that
great.
green is amazing.
It just works. I love it. I love it when there's a photo of a car where just even if at a glance you know exactly which car it is, and you remember it, and it's just that's so vivid.
And there's the wide body as well, which is an amazing yellow. It has slightly better handling. That would have been a slightly better one to get. But anyway, I had saved up a whole bunch of ultra rares just in case something like this happened, and then it did, and I just poured them all into it, maxed it out for drags, and that was how I was able to win the 787B. Yeah.
Yes.
So that is pretty happy about that car at the moment, and the 787B obviously. I haven't had a chance to use it on much, but when I do,
gonna unleash it. But it is. I mean, I think just for me personally, this is. I think this is probably one of the games where actually more of the team genuinely play it than any other game that I've ever worked with or sort of been involved with.
Yeah, especially over a year after launch as well.
And it's it just sounds so obvious, but it just makes such a difference. I think that sort of having people on the team who can kind of really understand things from a kind of player's perspective, I think genuinely makes a difference. And, for all of us, for the rest of the team as well, because you're never going to get a game where everyone who's working on it really, or you're unlikely to have a situation where everyone who works on it is a truly engaged, a genuinely engaged player. But I think with Top Drives we've got there's enough players on the team to make that difference. Personally, I don't think I play it very cleverly. I'm sort of probably one of the most into cars in the real world on the team. So I generally just my collection is just focused around Caterhams and Lancia Integrales because I just love them so much.
I remember you saying you don't even necessarily look at the stats. You just go, well, this one.
I just know. It sometimes backfires on me when it's just like I've just got something wrong. But no, for me it's very much the collection side and actually just kind of trying to build up my favorite cars.
What's your favorite then?
My favorite is the yellow Lancia Integrale.
Oh right.
Evo 2. I just desperately would love one of those cars at some point, but they've shot up in value in recent years.
Oh dear, difficult. Well, I guess the other thing is that from the fact that so many of us play it, that means quality of life fixes are something we're really aware of. And so I think we did that change a while back where, when you went to upgrade a car and you had to fuse it, and they were all the cars that you could use as fuse food, and they were in a sort of random order. I think one of the engaged player devs just like, right, I'm just going to fix it. He just put in a thing so that all the cars that are the same were next to each other, just because it didn't take him long, and he knew that he really needed it.
So it's really good. I was actually at such a tiny point, but actually just the other day when again somebody else fixed when you're looking through all the cars, which I still like doing from time to time. It now remembers where you were when you exited. On
the brand screen. You go all the way to Volvo, and then you came out and you were back at the beginning, and now you stay there.
Some tiny little thing, but anyway, that's not the most important stuff, but always nice to get in.
Quality of life.
So
Our next question comes from Porsche Guy, who firstly says, great idea on the Austin challenges, by the way, so good on us. And then they've sort of got two questions, I guess. There are a lot of prize cars that haven't been released yet. What are the plans for those cars? Can we talk about any of that, actually?
Well, players who've been playing for a long time will have noticed that the pace has picked up a bit, I think, with prize cars. The first Austin's gone out. People wondered about that for a long time. And we've got there were those interesting sort of mid-rank, like C and B prize cars that we weren't quite sure how to get in there for a while, and now they found a place where sometimes in a tri-series that an event for one of those comes in.
Just can be quite useful. Yes, they're kind of useful in that sort of capacity.
Yeah, that's quite a good place for them, and and the frequency's gone up generally, so there's a pretty good one every 2 weeks at a minimum. So I could see, like, maybe 6 months ago or more, you could go, what's going on? We're never going to get through them. And now we've picked up the pace. We solved the issue with the servers not scaling up well enough at the end of an event, which made us like, oh no, we can't, give away all these supercars because people will go crazy. That's now solved. And I think there's a pretty good pace for them now.
Yeah, so I think the simple answer is that they will definitely, people will definitely be able to get their hands on them. It's kind of keep an eye on the events, and see what's going to kind of come up next. I mean, we the prize cards have been picked. We want them to be these kind of rare, desirable items in the game because generally, particularly at the high end, they are that in the in the real world, or they've got something special about them, whether they're the fastest or the best of a brand, or actually sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's faster cars, but there's something kind of iconic about them or special about them in the history of a brand. So we want them to be rare, want them to be desirable. But they're definitely appearing more and more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they've got the secondary question, which I don't think we can really help you with at the moment, because the question is, can we get a sneak peek at the power of premium Italian supercar manufacturer?
Right.
The answer to which is no, they're not in the game yet.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, you'll have to wait if you want to see premium Italian supercar manufacturer.
Will you have to wait, or maybe... nothing's confirmed?
Exactly.
No.
Yes, I'm afraid we don't have anything to show you. Now, we've promised you a new prize car, and we don't disappoint. We've got a fantastic one this time, and we're going to tell you about it now.
Wow.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jaguar XJ220 is going to be available for the first time. I guess kind of where to start. It's a kind of fascinating car in lots of ways. I think I probably go on too much about beautiful cars, but this one really is right up there. I remember kind of seeing one actually recently, kind of in the flesh, and it's just, there's a lot of amazing supercars out there, and they look quite dramatic, but it's just really unique. There's something about its overall form that it's just so striking and so unlike other supercars. I think in terms of the kind of the curves and the proportions and the overhangs, it's just different from what other people were doing with that type of car, that level of car.
Especially in 1992.
Yeah, it just looked so different at that time and really striking. It didn't have the easiest kind of birth in life, in that it was unveiled as a concept car back in the kind of early 90s with a very large V12 engine, which is sort of what you'd expect from a Jaguar supercar, and four-wheel drive. A number of people put down quite hefty, I think £50,000 deposits, things like that. And then the production model was unveiled with just rear-wheel drive and a rather, I guess, smaller 3.5 litre V6 turbocharged engine, which was not exactly what people were expecting.
Right.
In kind of car geeky fact, but it actually shares some of its engine heritage with the Metro 6R4, which also features in the game. So if anyone is lucky enough to own both of those in the game, then they can boast to their friends about how there's this engine connection between the two. Beautiful. If they would like to do that. But then I think in a way, kind of things were forgiven when it came out. It just that engine is pretty spectacular in terms of what it produces. Might not be the most charismatic thing in the world, but it was. I think it had about 4 years, something like that, as the official fastest car in the fastest top speed in the world of a production car. Which I think they removed the catalytic converters and got it up to 217. Which was pretty impressive at the time when its competitors were things like the Porsche 959 and the Ferrari F40. So it really did. It moved the game on a not insignificant amount. And I think also had the Nürburgring production car lap record for a while. That kind of it really brought that down by a significant margin. So it was it was definitely a case of kind of a little bit of disappointment early on, but then when it actually hit the roads, it was pretty spectacular performance. And then in something that looks like that, it is quite a car, really.
And then the beautiful thing about that is how the way we determine where cars sit in the game. We look at their overperformance compared to all the others. We determine their RQ from that and their rarity, and so this actually comes out as a top-end epic, just shy of a legendary. And so that's quite nice in a way, because it sort of retains some of that specialness. Right, it had the highest top speed at the time. It is actually the highest top speed of any epic car that we have in the game.
So it's it's a natural order of things. The kind of supercar world moves on. And so there is this sort of bigger and faster stuff out there now, but it's nice to think of it as being the very top of the epic tree, because it's just a classic car, really. So we're just gonna run a couple of challenges to see where it sits. So we were just saying, in terms of, it's an interesting one is in terms of kind of you know, talking about kind of how things move on. You know, if we're looking at a very recent Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat, you know, this is a muscle car. You know, it's a quite you know, what would have been a kind of simple thing in the past. But you know, if we do a 1 mile drag race against the XJ220, you can just see that you know, even though, you know, XJ220 was the fastest car in the world, over 1 mile, it's just, even it can't touch just the unbelievable power output of that Hellcat.
So the top speed is technically better, but the mid range is not keeping up.
So it's but if we do if we switch to should we do the bowl next?
Right, it's the best place to try
so if we put it on, so we put it onto kind of the rolling bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Or standing bowl. Any preference?
Rolling.
Yeah.
We'll do rolling. So the rolling bowl, and you know, this is where we'll kind of see what happens, but the mid-range still, you know, it still kind of lets the Hellcat get that little bit further ahead.
Yeah, and then what?
But actually, right at the end, the XJ220 comes back, and it's just, you know, we talk about mid-range acceleration, but then what we don't really talk about much in the game is just that high end, that upper end.
Right.
And that's when that incredible kind of top speed comes in.
Yeah.
So actually, it's worth noting in this that we have gone with the non-catalytic converter removed stats for our game. Just because they
non-removed. The one where they are removed.
No, the one where
they're not.
The official production version.
So it's
road 212.
If you saw one on the road, it will be like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've gone with that. And then any other challenges?
Well, so some players asked about how it compares. This makes sense against we've got the just one RQ above it, the XJR 15.
Yes.
And so because that's also from the 90s and it's also a Jaguar, and so in events you will tend to see them at the same time, but the fact is that the 220 is an epic, so that means it's easier to upgrade. So I think the interesting comparison is if you upgrade the 220 probably 969, using that terminology. Oh, we found this out, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
shout out to 43MK4 for that terminology.
Yeah.
You can have a carbon fiber pack as well.
Yeah. That is now absolutely standard terminology on the team.
Yeah, exactly. It's using the web forum, not as much in the in-game forum. People there still sometimes talk about 323 or 303, which I always found a bit more ambiguous and doesn't quite cover it. 969. All right, versus, and this is where the terminology comes into its own, a 333 version of the XJR 15, i.e. it hasn't been fused, it's just had the basic upgrades, 3 on engine, 3 on weight, and 3 on handling. And so that's a contest, you know, that is quite likely to come up, because you can have maxed your 220, but the legendary's a lot harder to fuse. And then what? Fast circuit,
yeah. Actually, just
some kind.
As a brief, talking about the kind of difficult early stages for the XJ220, the XJR 15 was actually another factor in that, and it was a kind of slightly weird side project, much more motorsport focused. I mean, really, it's a race car,
right?
But they had to build some road legal ones, and it kind of came out around a similar sort of time, and so kind of muddied the messages in a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, very, very different cars. You just by the look of it, it's functional. It's an attractive car, but it's functional, whereas the XJ220 is stunning.
All right.
So if we run this kind of fast circuit, let's see how these two get on, because like you say, they are going to meet at the upper end of Jaguar events.
Yeah.
Really. So. Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it was always going to be a relatively close contest, but I think those extra upgrades that you can get,
just maintaining it.
Yep, just gives you a relatively comfortable victory.
Yeah.
Over that. So. Yeah.
All right. So I mean, as epics go, you can't be touched in the high-speed bowl.
No.
And it's competitive with some legendaries if you max it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just I mean, a striking addition to your collection. A very stylish way to go about winning some races.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, what talking about playing ourselves, I'm trying to specialise in UK cars. They're the ones I always try and keep. Try a bit harder to win, and try and, if I have a choice between which one I might upgrade, I'll go with those. So that's on my list.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah.
What was it? What do we need? Mitsubishis. I don't think Mitsubishis are quite up to it, and I just used all of my food on the 787B, so I'm probably going to struggle with this one. But anyway, I'll be jealous of the people who get it.
So just before we go, we thought we'd mention it's Wednesday as we record this, which is the Halloween, and apparently there's a really interesting event going on right now. If you've been having some fun with that and picking up some cool packs, I hope you enjoyed it. Will the poem that's in Katie Place stick around, or is it just for today?
Well, you can still look it up if you want to see that.
There you go. There's something in there if you want to go looking. But otherwise, that's what we've got to talk about. You know the rules by now. Go and leave your comments and like other people's. Make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already, and hit the notification bell. We will see you next time, and thanks for playing Top Drives.